Most people spend their entire lives hoping things will change, hoping opportunities will show up, hoping tomorrow will somehow be better than today. And then one day they wake up surprised that nothing changed at all. Not because life was unfair, but because they never learned a simple truth: life does not respond to wishful thinking, it responds to purposeful action. Now, let me ask you something important. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to get whatever they want? Not because they're lucky, not because they're smarter, and certainly not because life favors them. It's because they learned how the system works. They learned that success leaves clues, and those clues are available to anyone willing to listen, learn, and apply. Most people drift through life with a vague sense of desire. They say they want success, happiness, freedom, or wealth. But when you ask them to describe exactly what that means, their answers fall apart. And that is where the problem begins. Life cannot respond to confusion. The universe does not work with blurry instructions. If you don't know where you're going, you will accept almost any place as an arrival, and that is why clarity is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Clarity creates power because it turns hope into direction. The moment you clearly decide what you want, your mind starts working differently. You begin to notice opportunities that were always there, but invisible before. Your focus sharpens. Your energy becomes organized. Instead of scattering your effort across many directions, you aim it at one meaningful target. A scattered mind produces scattered results, but a focused mind builds momentum. Think about it this way: if you were to get into your car and start driving without a destination, you might enjoy the ride for a while, but eventually frustration would set in. You would waste fuel, time, and energy, and at the end of the day, you would still be nowhere important. Life works the same way. Without clarity, effort becomes exhausting instead of productive. You work hard, but you don't move forward. You stay busy, but you don't grow. Clarity also removes excuses. When you are not clear, it's easy to blame circumstances, people, or timing. But when your goal is precise, responsibility becomes unavoidable. You either did what was required today, or you didn't. You either moved closer, or you stayed still. Clarity forces honesty, and honesty is the foundation of progress. You can't improve what you refuse to clearly define. Another powerful aspect of clarity is that it strengthens commitment. A vague wish will never pull you through difficult days. But a clear vision will. When you know exactly what you want and why you want it, discipline becomes easier. Sacrifice starts to make sense. Temporary discomfort feels acceptable because it is connected to a meaningful outcome. Clarity gives pain a purpose, and purpose makes pain bearable. Clarity is also the beginning of confidence. Many people struggle with self-doubt not because they are incapable, but because they are uncertain. Uncertainty creates hesitation, and hesitation weakens belief. Once you are clear about your direction, your confidence grows naturally, not because everything is easy, but because you know where you are headed. Even slow progress feels encouraging when the direction is right. It's important to understand that clarity does not mean perfection. You don't need every detail figured out. You don't need the full map. What you need is a clear destination and a willingness to adjust along the way. Clarity is about intention, not prediction. You decide the direction first, and then you refine the path as you move. Action brings refinement, not the other way around. Clarity also changes how others respond to you. People are drawn to those who know what they want. Employers, partners and collaborators trust individuals with direction. When you speak with certainty, even if your journey is still in progress, others sense strength. Confusion repels opportunity, but clarity invites support. Most importantly, clarity shifts you from being reactive to being proactive. Instead of reacting to whatever shows up, you begin choosing what deserves your time and attention. You learn to say no to distractions because you've said yes to something bigger. You stop confusing movement with progress. You stop mistaking activity for achievement. Your days begin to align with your destination. The simple truth is this: life gives clarity to those who demand it from themselves. The moment you stop saying, "I want something," and start saying, "This is what I'm building," everything changes. Your thinking sharpens. Your habits adjust. Your standards rise. Because clarity is not just about knowing what you want, it is about deciding who you must become in order to deserve it. Most people believe that desire is enough. They think that wanting something badly will somehow pull it into their lives. But desire on its own is weak. Desire is emotional, inconsistent, and easily distracted. One day it's strong, the next day it fades. That is why so many people start with enthusiasm and end with excuses. They wanted success, but they never decided to do what success demands. A decision is different from a wish. A decision cuts off alternatives. When you decide, you are no longer debating with yourself. You are no longer waiting to see how you feel tomorrow. You draw a line and say, "This is the direction, no matter the weather, no matter the mood." Desire says, "I hope." Decision says, "I will." And that shift, as simple as it sounds, changes everything. When desire becomes a decision, behavior changes automatically. You stop asking whether you should act and start asking how. You stop negotiating with comfort. You stop looking for permission. Decisions remove internal conflict, and internal conflict is one of the biggest drains of energy. Most people are tired not because they work too hard, but because they are constantly arguing with themselves about what they should do. Desire also depends on external conditions. If the environment is supportive, desire feels strong. If the environment becomes challenging, desire disappears. A decision does not depend on conditions. It creates standards. You act not because it feels good, but because it aligns with what you decided. This is why successful people can be calm in chaos and consistent under pressure. They are not driven by emotion, they are anchored by decision. Another powerful thing happens when desire turns into decision. Excuses lose their power. As long as something is just a want, excuses sound reasonable. I'm tired. I'm busy. The timing isn't right. But once you decide, excuses sound like lies you no longer want to believe. A decision forces you to confront reality. It doesn't guarantee comfort, but it guarantees clarity. Decision also sharpens focus. When you decide, you begin to filter your choices. You stop wasting time on things that don't move you forward. You become selective with your energy. This is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. A decided mind is efficient. It knows what deserves attention and what should be ignored. There is also a psychological shift that happens with decision. Your self-image begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. Confidence grows not from success, but from self-trust. Every time you act in alignment with a decision, you strengthen that trust. And once you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Decision invites responsibility. Desire avoids it. Desire wants the reward without the wait. Decision accepts the wait as part of the process. When you decide, You stop blaming people's systems or circumstances. You understand that your outcome is connected to your standards, your habits, and your persistence. This doesn't make life easier, but it makes it fair. Many people wait for clarity before they decide, but clarity often comes after the decision. Movement creates insight. Commitment creates understanding. The first step doesn't require certainty, it requires courage. When you decide, life responds with lessons, opportunities, and growth that would never appear if you stayed in the comfort of wanting. At the end of the day, the difference between those who get results and those who don't is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is the moment when desire stops being a feeling and becomes a command. The moment you stop hoping things will change and start deciding that you will change, no matter what it costs. Everyone talks about goals. Everyone talks about dreams. But very few people talk about the bridge that connects the two. That bridge is discipline. Without it, goals remain ideas and dreams remain fantasies. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't announce itself. But it is the quiet force that turns intention into reality day after day. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it means punishment, restriction, or living a life without enjoyment. In truth, discipline is simply the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It is choosing long-term reward over short-term comfort. And every meaningful result in life is built on that choice, repeated consistently. Discipline is powerful because it removes dependence on motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some mornings you wake up inspired, other mornings you don't. If your progress depends on how you feel, progress will be random. Discipline creates stability. It allows you to move forward regardless of mood, weather, or circumstances. When discipline is in place, feelings no longer control behavior. Small acts of discipline may seem insignificant, but they compound. Getting up when the alarm rings, doing the work when no one is watching, practicing when it's inconvenient. These actions don't produce immediate applause, but over time they create extraordinary results. Discipline works quietly in the background, shaping habits, sharpening skills, and building character. Discipline also builds self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Not because the task was impressive, but because you followed through. Many people struggle with self-doubt not because they fail, but because they repeatedly break commitments to themselves. Discipline repairs that trust. It turns self-talk from doubt into belief. There is also freedom in discipline, even though it sounds like a contradiction. A disciplined person is not trapped, they are in control. When you control your actions, you control your direction. When you control your direction, you control your future. Lack of discipline creates chaos. Discipline creates options. The more disciplined you become today, the more freedom you earn tomorrow. Discipline helps you withstand resistance. Every worthwhile pursuit comes with discomfort, boredom, and moments of doubt. Discipline keeps you moving through those moments instead of retreating from them. It doesn't eliminate difficulty, but it prevents difficulty from stopping you. Over time, what once felt hard becomes normal, and what once felt impossible becomes routine. Another overlooked benefit of discipline is that it simplifies life. You no longer debate with yourself about what to do. The decision has already been made. You follow the plan. You stick to the standard. This saves mental energy and reduces stress. Clarity combined with discipline creates momentum, and momentum is one of the most powerful forces in personal growth. Discipline also separates those who succeed from those who settle. Talent is common. Ideas are common. Even ambition is common. Discipline is rare. That rarity is what makes it valuable. It's not the most gifted who win in the long run, but the most consistent. Discipline turns average effort into above average results over time. Most importantly, discipline aligns you with your future self. It allows you to act today in a way that your future will thank you for. Every disciplined choice is a vote for the life you want to live. And while no single action seems life-changing in the moment, the accumulation of disciplined actions always is. The truth is simple but demanding. Success is not built in moments of excitement, it is built in moments of discipline. When you learn to govern your actions instead of your feelings, you stop wishing for change and start creating it, one deliberate step at a time. Many people spend their lives chasing rewards without understanding how rewards actually work. They want more money, more respect, more opportunity, and more freedom, yet they focus only on what they want to receive. Life does not work on demand. It works on value. The greater the value you bring, the greater the rewards that flow back to you. This is not philosophy. It is a practical law that governs careers, relationships, and personal growth. Value is what you contribute, not what you claim. You may believe you deserve more, but life responds only to what you consistently deliver. Employers reward skills that solve problems. Businesses grow when they serve needs effectively. People are trusted when they show reliability and character. When you increase your ability to contribute, you increase your ability to receive. This is why personal development is not optional for those who want more out of life. It is essential. Many people confuse value with position or titles. They believe a promotion, a degree, or a label automatically makes them valuable. But value is not what you are called. It is what you can do. Two people can hold the same position, yet one is paid more, respected more, and trusted more. The difference is value. One has invested time in sharpening skills, improving attitude, and increasing effectiveness, while the other remained comfortable with what they already knew. Becoming more valuable begins with a simple question: how can I be better at what I do? Better at solving problems, better at communicating, better at managing time, better at handling pressure. These improvements may seem small, but they compound. Every new skill expands your usefulness. Every improvement in attitude increases your influence. Over time, people begin to notice, not because you demand recognition, but because results speak louder than words. Value also includes character. Skills may open doors, but character keeps them open. Reliability, honesty, discipline, and integrity make you someone others can count on. In a world where many quit when things get difficult, consistency becomes a rare and valuable trait. People trust those who show up, follow through, and stay committed even when it's inconvenient. That trust becomes currency. Another important aspect of value is adaptability. The world changes, industries change, and demands change. Those who refuse to grow become obsolete, no matter how successful they once were. Increasing your value means staying curious, staying teachable, and being willing to evolve. The more problems you can solve in different situations, the more indispensable you become. Value also changes how you negotiate with life. When you bring little to the table, you must beg for opportunities. When you bring value, opportunities seek you out. This is why truly successful people are rarely desperate. They understand that their leverage comes from what they have developed within themselves. They know that if one door closes, Another will open because their value travels with them. Many people complain that life is unfair, that their efforts go unnoticed, or that others are rewarded more. Often the issue is not effort, but effectiveness. Hard work without growth has limits. Value comes from working on yourself, not just working hard. When effort is combined with improvement, results multiply. Increasing personal value also changes your self-image. You stop feeling dependent on circumstances and start feeling capable of shaping outcomes. Confidence grows naturally because it is rooted in ability, not hope. You no longer fear competition because you know you are constantly improving. You stop comparing yourself to others and start competing with who you were yesterday. Life will always ask the same question, whether spoken or silent, what do you bring? The more you invest in your skills, your mindset, and your character, the stronger your answer becomes. Rewards are not something you chase endlessly. They are something you attract by becoming someone worth rewarding. Many people believe that success comes from big moments of inspiration, sudden breakthroughs, or intense bursts of effort. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect timing, or the perfect opportunity to go all in. When that intensity shows up, they work hard for a short period, and when it fades, they slow down or stop altogether. This cycle creates frustration because progress made in moments of intensity is often lost during long periods of inactivity. Consistency works differently. It doesn't rely on excitement or emotional highs. It relies on routine, standards, and repetition. Consistency is doing the right thing even when it feels ordinary, boring, or uncomfortable. It is not about how hard you push once in a while, but about how steadily you move forward every day. And over time, that steady movement creates results that intensity alone never can. Intensity is impressive, but it is unreliable. It burns hot and fades fast. Consistency is quiet, but it is dependable. Anyone can feel motivated for a day or a week. Very few can show up daily, especially when progress feels slow and recognition is absent. That is why consistency separates those who achieve lasting success from those who start strong and finish nowhere. Small actions repeated daily may seem insignificant in the moment. Reading a few pages, practicing a skill for a short time, making one improvement, saving a small amount. None of these feel life-changing on their own. But consistency turns small actions into powerful habits, and habits shape identity. Over time, those small efforts compound, creating results that appear sudden to outsiders, but were built patiently over months and years. Consistency also builds resilience. When you rely on intensity, setbacks feel devastating. Missing one day feels like failure. But when you rely on consistency, you understand that progress is built over time. One bad day doesn't stop you. One mistake doesn't define you. You return to the routine because the routine is stronger than emotion. This mindset keeps you in the game long enough to win. Another advantage of consistency is that it reduces pressure. Intensity demands perfection. It creates unrealistic expectations and leads to burnout. Consistency allows progress without drama. You don't need to be extraordinary every day, you just need to be dependable. This removes fear and makes growth sustainable. When something is sustainable, it can be maintained long enough to produce meaningful results. Consistency also sharpens skill. Mastery is not achieved through occasional effort. It comes from repetition. Every time you repeat an action, you refine it. You notice what works and what doesn't. You improve slightly, almost without realizing it. Over time, these small improvements stack up, and what once felt difficult becomes natural. Intensity may start the journey, but consistency finishes it. There is also a deep psychological benefit to consistency. It builds self-trust. When you show up for yourself day after day, you begin to believe in your ability to follow through. Confidence grows not from big wins, but from kept promises. This self-trust becomes a foundation for bigger challenges because you know you can rely on yourself when things get hard. Consistency creates momentum. Once momentum builds, progress feels easier, not because the work is lighter, but because stopping feels harder than continuing. Momentum carries you through days when motivation is low. It keeps you moving forward even when results are not immediately visible. And momentum, once established, is one of the most powerful forces in personal growth. Many people underestimate how far consistency can take them. They overestimate what they can do in a short time and underestimate what they can do over a long time. This misunderstanding leads to impatience. But success is rarely dramatic. It is usually the result of showing up when it's inconvenient, staying committed when it's uncomfortable, and trusting the process when progress is slow. The truth is simple: intensity may get attention, but consistency gets results. If you choose steady action over occasional effort, patience over excitement, and discipline over emotion, you give yourself an unfair advantage in a world where most people quit too soon. Many people want control over their lives, but few are willing to accept what control actually requires. They want freedom without responsibility, results without ownership, and change without effort. Responsibility is often misunderstood as burden, something heavy to avoid. In reality, responsibility is the gateway to personal power. The moment you take full responsibility for your life, you stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the author of your future. Responsibility means recognizing that where you are today is largely the result of your past decisions, habits, and responses. This realization can be uncomfortable because it removes excuses. But it is also empowering because it places control back in your hands. If your choices brought you here, your choices can take you somewhere better. Responsibility shifts your focus from what happened to what can be done. When people avoid responsibility, they give away power. Blaming the economy, upbringing, other people, or bad luck may feel comforting, but it creates stagnation. As long as the cause of your problems exists outside of you, the solution does too. Responsibility brings the solution inward. It allows you to ask better questions like, what can I improve? What can I change? And what can I do differently starting today? Taking responsibility also sharpens awareness. You begin to notice patterns in your behavior. You see how your reactions shape outcomes. You understand that even when you cannot control events, you can always control your response. This awareness creates choice, and choice is the foundation of freedom. Without responsibility, reactions are automatic. With responsibility, responses become intentional. Responsibility builds resilience. When setbacks occur, a responsible mindset looks for lessons instead of excuses. Failure becomes feedback. Mistakes become teachers. Instead of quitting, you adapt. This ability to learn and adjust is what allows people to grow stronger through difficulty instead of being broken by it. Responsibility does not eliminate problems, but it prevents problems from defining you. There is also a deep sense of confidence that comes from responsibility. Knowing that your progress depends on you creates a quiet strength. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop hoping someone else will fix things. You become proactive instead of reactive. This mindset attracts respect, trust, and opportunity because people are drawn to those who take ownership of their lives. Responsibility also improves relationships. When you take responsibility for your communication, actions, and emotions, conflicts become easier to resolve. Instead of defending yourself, you seek understanding. Instead of assigning blame, you seek solutions. This maturity builds stronger connections, both personally and professionally. People feel safe with those who own their behavior. Another powerful aspect of responsibility is that it aligns effort with results. You stop expecting rewards without contribution. You understand that progress requires input. This creates fairness in your thinking. You no longer feel entitled, you feel accountable. And accountability produces growth because it pushes you to raise your standards and expand your capabilities. Responsibility is not about self-criticism or guilt. It is not about punishing yourself for the past. It is about acceptance and forward movement. You acknowledge where you are, forgive yourself for mistakes, and commit to doing better. This balanced approach prevents both denial and despair. It keeps you grounded and motivated. When you fully accept responsibility, life becomes simpler. Decisions are clearer. Priorities are sharper. You no longer waste energy complaining about things you cannot change. You invest that energy into what you can influence. This shift creates momentum because focused effort always produces progress. True freedom does not come from having fewer rules or fewer challenges. It comes from having the ability to respond wisely and act deliberately. Responsibility gives you that ability. It hands you the keys to your own life and reminds you that no matter where you start, your future remains in your hands.